Here is our board and train healer for 8 days only. Again, I decided after he was not attracted to the food more than he was attracted to the doors in the room. There's two that he's absolutely fanatic about, going there, jumping at it and thinking about going through it. I decided after I have conditioned him positively to be wearing the electric collar that I will just make the doors a little smaller in his perception by applying slight stimulation with the collar, of course without saying anything, as soon as he is approaching the door. I also have taught him to sit more reliably and introduced him to the free command as good as I could. So here I have him on the leash to possibly mechanically help him with the sitting and of course limit his options to do anything else when he feels slight stimulation from the collar, the electric collar, and find a solution about the electric collar if he sits, meaning that doing what I ask him to do. So making him sit with the electric collar, showing him that he has to do it, and the stimulation being applied when I see that he orients himself to the door will hopefully narrow it down to where he wants to interact more with me.
Sit.
Of course, it's a little different here because I'm sitting when I ask him to sit. Before that, I was standing, so it's a different picture. And he, now the leash flew off the handle. That, of course, shouldn't be happening. But we have a lot of barking going on in the kennel, so he was quite thrown off the path of training here because it's just too much of a distraction for him. To a degree where he totally blocks out any response mechanically and electronically to what I ask him to do, which was sitting. So we finally got in his head and we're able to make him sit. I say the word free and toss him a treat to teach him that when he hears the word free, he can leave the behavior or the position that he was supposed to be in. So any behavior that I'm asking for actively is only to be ended on his part if he hears the release command. So what I do here in training is I say the word that I want to be connected with a release and toss the treat, so it gains the meaning of what I want him to understand about that. So here I lured him in a down that worked very well, all in a positive fashion at this point, but you see that he except for the free he is more perceptive of what I do and more perceptive of following the food lure possibly, which of course only works to a degree if there's no distraction, which we can't do anything about. It's not even a massive distraction because he can't see anything, he just hears the distraction. So here he is just dropping out again, thinking about the door, and as soon as he oriented himself to the door, I applied slight electric stimulation, and here he was not willing to take any food right after that. And what I did is I pulled on the leash to get him orienting more to me, and applied slight stimulation and hope that, or offer him a reward from me if he breaks up the orientation to the door and orients himself to me. And of course he has to learn that the food is coming from me after he has to leave the door, so to speak. And it's not really of his high consideration to engage with me, because the doors, there's another door that you can't see to the left, the doors are just totally over attracting him, so it takes some repetitions with low stimulation to make him understand that every time he orients himself to the door, the stimulation is coming on, and as he leaves the door, the stimulation comes off, and he has an opportunity, definitely, whether he wants it or not, to get a treat from me, to give the scenario a negative and positive polarization, let's call it. He's still orienting himself to the door, thinking about it, but now after he understands the concept a little better, he is orienting himself to me and even takes treats. So we are well on the path of getting better here. He went by me, didn't orient himself to me, and as soon as he went by me, the slight electric stimulation came on again to tell him or show him this is hot and this is cold. So it is a clear communication about the path that he should follow, meaning that door is not desirable and me and the treats are desirable. So here we see he is not even going for the door anymore, because he has learned what is happening consistently when he is, and I have a good chance to offer treats that he actually considers to take. Here I'm touching the doorknob, hoping that maybe that even, yep, and it does. Attract him more to the door again, because he has learned touching the doorknob will open the door and I get to run out. So here I connected the opening the door, touching the doorknob with negatives, meaning there's slight stimulation from the electric collar, and he learns that opening the door, touching the doorknob by me is a signal that he should actually break his attention away from the door. So the distraction that somebody wanted to come through, of course, throws him off, and he is totally curious about what happened there. So I touched the doorknob to start the process of opening the door, which of course tells him that the door will open, and he has the tendency to, or the desire to go out, and he felt real quick that this is not anything you should consider. So here again, he has learned after a couple of repetitions so far that if I open the door, there will be slight stimulation from the collar, which is slightly uncomfortable to a degree where he changes his behavior and separates himself from the door. Here again, goes to the door, sled stimulation, feels it, breaks the orientation from the door, and I don't care at this point if he is orienting himself to me necessarily. I'm just focusing on him, kind of, let's simplified call it, feel not so attracted by the door. Here, beautifully, he separates from the door and even looks at me instead of thinking he has to go through the door. One more time, I open the door and he's even backing up instead of moving forward into the door. So we are pretty successful here in that session, fairly fast to make the door smaller and make me as a trainer bigger and more interesting. In order to make him generalizing that every door, not just this one, is having the same consequences in stimulation and leash correction possibly, I'm working on the other door here, and he slightly tries to fall back into what he wanted to do so badly originally, or what he's used to, and I open the door and show him that this door is no different than the other door, and you see that he very, very much understands that busting through the door when it opens is not really to his advantage. So I can even have the door open, the leash is loose, and he doesn't go like a maniac. He actually got a little correction here, and when he tried to go in the direction of the door and he was offering a sit instead, which is a very desirable goal to have or behavior to have. We will see in later videos that this is what I actually teach as an alternate behavior to busting through the door when it opens.